but keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer.
Shalom, shalom, double grace and peace be unto each and every one of you, and a warm welcome to Inspirational Thoughts. It is Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning. I can't believe the week is going by so quickly. It is as though all you have to do is blink and the week is done. Not only is a week going much faster, it appears that the months are passing by quickly as well. We are already in the month of April. Then you have May, June, July. Just so it's summer. And before we know it, it's Christmas again. But nonetheless, I want to welcome you to Inspirational Thoughts on this beautiful Wednesday morning. I trust, as always, that you had a wonderful night, and also you'll have a wonderful day today. Just want to remind you that Inspirational Thoughts, it is a powerful tool that can transform our lives, guide our actions, and shape our future. It encompasses ideas, beliefs, and perspectives that motivate and encourage us to strive for personal growth, overcome challenges, and achieve our dreams. This is the concept and the idea behind inspirational thoughts. I trust this morning that as we go into the Word of God, as a matter of fact, as we go into the program today, that you will indeed be blessed. This morning, we are looking at 9 things to avoid. This will be part 2. 9 things to avoid, part number 2. Now, we're talking about things to avoid that will enable us to be better individuals, to be better servants, to be better people in our community. Good morning, baby. What's up? Good morning. How are you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Right. So, the objective of this program this morning is to help us and to highlight things that we need to get rid of if we are going to be better and more productive citizens in the kingdom of the Most High, right? This will also help us to be better on the job site. It will help us to be better in the home. It can also help us be better in our community. Yesterday, we looked at 3 things. We are looking at 9, but due to time, we weren't able to cover all 9 in one session. So we did 3, and this morning we're going to look at another 3, or possibly 4. We will see how the time goes. It all depends on how much I expound on it, and I may not expound deeply, but I would just like to convey the ideas to us, right? To us. So keep it locked. Don't touch that dial, and we will commence looking at point number 1 for this morning, and that is procrastination. Procrastination. We all know what that is. We all know what that is. And if we are going to be better, do better, if we're going to be more productive, we have to keep this point in mind. Procrastination. One sister told me a very, very long time ago, procrastination is the door to too late. We cannot be productive if we constantly put off things. It is said, don't leave what you can do now or you can do today for tomorrow. Whatever you are able to do now, do it now. That's the type of mindset and mentality that we need to have. Now, that was the mindset and the mentality of the people of old. That's where the saying came from. I heard this saying as a boy growing up. And we were constantly reminded, don't put off what you can do now for tomorrow, because you never know what tomorrow holds. Tomorrow has its challenges and has its different challenges, right? Tomorrow may not be the same. Just yesterday, I was speaking to a friend, and we spoke about that. We spoke about the whole idea of procrastination. I mean, you do not know what is going to happen tomorrow. And because you do not know what is going to happen tomorrow, it is essential that you take care of matters now, right? So if we're going to be better individuals, then we ought to remember this point: procrastination. Take initiative. Postponing tasks can lead to stress and missed opportunities. Work on developing better time management skills and prioritize tasks to enhance productivity and reduce anxiety. Number four, another attitude that we need to avoid is holding grudges. Hmm. Am I talking to someone this morning? Have you ever held a grudge against someone? Has someone ever done something to you and you refuse to forgive them? You hold that to heart. Every time you see that individual, you're upset, you are angry, your spirit turns within you. If you see the person coming down the street, you will pass another way. Holding grudges, it doesn't just affect the individual that we have the grudge against. Holding grudges affects us, affects you as an individual. Because when you see the person and you get upset, that person may not be upset. But because you see that person, you're upset, it is affecting you more than it affecting the person. So holding grudges is something that will and can bring us down instead of building us up. Forgive and move on. Holding on to past grievances can weigh you down emotionally. Practice forgiveness, not necessarily to absolve others, but to free yourself from the negativity, right? And like I said, this is not about the next person. We're talking about you. We're talking about me, right? Because too often we focus on the next person, but we fail to realize how this affects us. And if we hold a lot of grudges, it is going to weigh us down, cause stress, cause us to be frustrated. Because every time a thought of this person comes, we get mad and we might be throwing things around the house and we're upset. This is not affecting the other person. While you are in your tantrum moods, that person is smiling and happy. So I mean, if we are going to be better, if we are going to be better individuals in our homes, in our society, in the church, on the job place, we have to understand that we need to stop holding grudges. We have to forgive and move on. Number six, stop comparing yourself to others. Stop comparing yourself to others. God has blessed us all differently. We all have been blessed with different talents, different abilities. We all have different capabilities. And therefore, we should never, and did I say never? We should never compare ourselves to others. Focus on your own journey. Focus on your own journey. Folks, I don't know who needs to hear this. Who needs to hear this? But I'm saying it this morning that if we are going to be better in God's kingdom, be better in our community, in our homes, in the school, in the workplace, there are some things we need to avoid. And we have to avoid comparing ourselves to others. If you're doing it, I want to encourage you to stop it. Stop comparing yourself to others. Focus on your own goals. Consistently comparing yourself to others can lead to feeling of inadequacy. Instead, celebrate your unique qualities and progress and set personal goals based on your values and aspirations. Folks, I believe it's that simple. Where when we waste time comparing ourselves with others, this is not going to help us. Eventually, you're going to feel inadequate. You're not good enough. On the job side, if you start comparing yourself with the other person, and you realize you don't measure up, you might be frustrated, and before you know it, you lose your job because you're focusing on the wrong thing. Focus on completing your goals and doing it to the best of your ability. And as long as you're focused on your goals and you're working forward, you're moving forward towards your goals, then it is you're going to be strengthened in the process. You're going to grow, you're going to mature, and you're eventually going to be better at what you do. You are going to be better at what you do, right? Because you're constantly working at it. But if you are focused on comparing yourself with others, oh, he does this better than me, or she does this better than me, what about your own ability? Focus on that. So stop focusing or stop comparing yourself to others. Stop comparing yourself with others. And number 7, listen to this now. Stop resisting change. I know yesterday I shared a few other points that I would like to look at, but after overlooking a few things, I decided, you know what, I want to change a few pointers. Resisting change, embrace growth. Change is inevitable. It's an inevitable part of life. Avoid resisting it. Instead, view change as an opportunity to grow and grow and experience new things. Sometimes we try to fight against the current or swim against the current. But as the surfers do, the surfers use the waves and they ride the waves. So if we are going to grow, if we are going to develop, if we're going to be better, we need to avoid resisting change. Although this point, when I looked at it, we can look at it in different ways, because there are circumstances in our lives, and I have to say this, I have to say this, you know, there are certain changes that's going to take place that we should never stand for. We should never stand for it. And we see a lot of these changes going around in this world. And I hope my program won't be banned or blocked for me saying that. But we have the rainbow movement, so to speak. That's a change that has taken place, and it has been moving and growing gradually. Do we just accept that? I don't think so. I don't think so. But we're talking about this from a positive standpoint. If there are changes that will work for your betterment, then it is important that you do not resist it. I hope I'm making a little bit of sense this morning, right? So here's what we have looked at so far. Number 1, this morning we learned that we should not procrastinate. Procrastination is the door to too late. We learned that we should not hold grudges. Holding grudges can affect you and will affect you as an individual. Number 3, we learned that we should not compare ourselves with others. We should not compare ourselves with others. And number 4, we learned that we should not resist change. Here's the final one for this morning, and that is we should avoid being overly critical. We should avoid being overly critical. Encourage positivity. That's why we looked at that point as the first point in this series of lessons. Criticism, especially when unwarranted, can harm relationships and self-esteem. Aim to offer constructive feedback and highlight the good that is in others and yourself. I have to pause there for a while, because this is so important. We Sometimes it is not what you say, but it's how you say what you say. The Bible teaches us to operate under the umbrella of love. Everything that we do, even the things that we say, should come from a place of love. And when we should use constructive criticism as opposed to using criticism as a tool to bring down others. And that's what we find, most a lot around a lot these days. My tongue get twisted there for a moment. It's like the thoughts are so many things going on there, right? That criticism to tear the other person down is very rampant in our society today. It is rampant in the home, sorry, in the job on the job. It is rampant in the community, where people are seeking to bring down the other man so that they can elevate themselves, right? And they criticize the person in a negative way. But if we are going to be better and we're going to build a better society, a better community in the work and so forth, we have to avoid being overly critical, because this can affect the individual, right? And that could also affect you. You know, we ought to, the way we think, folks, is of great importance. You see, our aim should be to offer constructive feedback and highlight the good in others and yourself. We if we want to build a better community, a better society, we have to start focusing on the good. I believe even the worst of people have something good in them. I could recall when I attended the Trinidad School of Preaching and Teaching, the teacher asked us to do an assignment where we were to write something positive about someone else, and I was in the class, right? And we all had that opportunity, and for some it was difficult. Yeah, we're in preaching school, and for some it was difficult, to write a few positive things or say something positive about such and such a person. We would start off good. This person is this, is the person is that, and then we're highlighting the positive. But before we are over, something negative is highlighted. I don't like this about this person. I don't like that about this person. So it is very easy to highlight the negative, right? But we ought to focus more on the positive. Highlight the positive. Encourage that individual, to keep going. You, it's just like this. Your spouse may cook a little food, cook some food, right? And they will do it with all their hearts, right? But the food is a little bit salty. How are you going to address it? How are you going to address it, right? Should you just say, hey, that food's salty, I don't want it? That's too much salt to happen to kill me. How do you address it? You say, baby, the food looks good. Thank you for taking the time out and making this for me. I really do appreciate it. But it has a little too much salt. That's why I said at the beginning, sometimes it's not what you say, but it's how you say what you say. And we should cultivate and develop a mindset that is tailored to building up one another. Just imagine what it would be like if every member in your household thought positively. They wasn't too quick to criticize. It be it be, rather than criticizing, they would uplift and encourage. Right? Do you know how much you can strengthen someone else by simply giving them that little push, that little boost, you know, to encourage them to go on, because some people are going through so many things in their lives. And probably that person is new on the job site. That person is new in the workplace, and they do not really know their way around, so they will fumble, but they have a great talent. They have a great talent. And if you cannot see that and you decide, you're going to criticize them, you can send them further down that drain pipe. Eventually, they might end up in the sewage. And we don't want that. We don't want that. But sometimes all people are in need of is just a little push of a little word, some words of encouragement. You got this. You can do this. You know, just imagine what the church would be like, if members, and let me tell you this, I will always talk about that. because I am concerned about the church and I want the church to be a better place and for the church to grow. But sometimes, even in the church, we are so critical. We are highly critical and judgmental to the point that we are quick to judge, we are quick to condemn, and instead of encouraging people to stay, we push them away from the church. That is why this point is so important. This point is so vital because it reminds us, and we need to remind ourselves that we should avoid being overly critical. And I'm not saying that there aren't times we should highlight the weaknesses in people to encourage them to grow and to be stronger. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that we do not have flaws that we need to work on. But what I'm saying is, amidst the flaws, there are some good, and we could highlight that to encourage that person to keep going and keep fighting a good fight of faith. Every Christian has probably has a weak point or an area where they falter. And if you keep stressing on that area that they're working on and they're struggling to overcome, you're not seeing their struggles. You're not seeing the tears that they're having because they're constantly praying and asking the Lord to help them overcome that problem that they have. You're unable to see that. All you see is the problem that they have. And you keep pressing on that. You keep pressing on that. You're not helping. As a matter of fact, you are discouraging that individual. Because that individual is trying, but you can't see their efforts because you're blinded, because you're overly critical and judgmental. And as a result, that individual, instead of depending on the Lord more, that individual may stumble and fall away, turn their backs from the Lord's church, turn their backs from Christianity, turn their backs from living for God and living by His words. So, folks, we have to avoid being highly or overall. Oh, that whole idea of critical. Sorry, something just passing the throat that is saliva. We have to avoid being overly critical. We have to avoid it. So, if you or me, if we have that desire to be better individuals in our homes, in our community, in the church, on the job, there are some things we need to avoid. And this morning, we learned that we have to avoid procrastination. We have to avoid, number two, holding grudges. We have to avoid, number three, comparing ourselves to others. Number four, we have to avoid resisting change. Number five, we have to avoid being overly critical. We have to avoid being overly critical. So, these were the points for today. I trust that something was said that would have served as a great source of encouragement to you. I pray that you would have listened attentively and that you will make the necessary adjustments or changes in your life. If you missed the first part, I would like you to go back, visit our YouTube channel or Facebook page. Part one was presented yesterday. So if you missed that, I want you to go back and look at it. But I hope the points that I have shared today will in some way inspire you, and motivate you. I pray that you'll avoid these things as much as possible so that you can be a better person. You can be a better disciple. You can be a better servant in the Lord's kingdom. I do have to go, but before I go, I want to say good morning to my daughter Melissa. Yes, that's one of my first daughters. Not by blood, though. Not by blood, but by the I can say by blood too. I can say by blood too. But just want to wish you a good day today, and I want to thank you for tuning in this morning. It is my prayer that you will have a great day today, and just enjoy what the Lord has blessed you with. I want to say good morning to Brother Dillian J. Bellot out there in St. Lucia. Bonjour, Sakafet, Sakafet. I hope all is well with you and the family as well. Keep that faith and keep holding on to the Lord's unchanging hands. And of course, my brother from another mother, Brother Shanna Robin, out there in Canada. How are you doing, brother? Thank you for tuning in. I'm looking forward to having you as a guest once again on Inspirational Thoughts, but this time it will be slightly different. We're going to put you under the spotlight, and I'm looking forward to that. I do hope that you will accept the invitation and be with me. We'll set up a date for that. But in the meantime, I just want to encourage all of you to be safe, remain focused on your goals, and keep striving to be better. And if we are going to be better, then there are definitely some things that we need to avoid. Pay attention to these things, and I pray will continue to bless and keep you on this beautiful, beautiful day. So I have to go. I have to go. Love you guys. Until tomorrow. And don't forget, just before I go, let me just remind you of this quickly. This coming Friday, again, we're having Melody Friday. And we have a Brother Terrence G. Regis from Trinidad and Tobago, who will be joining us on this program. So if you want to be blessed by by singing. I believe that's one of the best ways to be encouraged and to be inspired. And we can definitely inspire each other through songs. So if you're interested, please tune in this Friday, 8:15. We're having Brother Terrence Regis from Trinidad and Tobago joining us to share some songs with us. I have to go. I have to go. Shalom, shalom. Double grace and peace be always unto you. Tomorrow, Lord willing, we will look at the final points, and I may just share one or two others with you. So look forward to that. If you want to know what you ought to do, what you ought to avoid, keep it locked. Keep it locked. Keep it locked. Don't touch that dial. Remember, Inspirational Thoughts is a program that is designed to convert thoughts into words with the intent to motivate and inspire each and every one of us to do better and to be better. So if you want to be inspired daily by the word, then tune in to Inspirational Thoughts Monday to Friday from 8:15 to 8:45 a.m. Shalom once again. Until next time, I am Dexter Honor, and it was a pleasure being with you this morning.
Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave